I hear that's one of God's favorite years to be born in. Yes. Lucky. So, so in the book of the Kings that we are reading today, started off with David. You remember David? We read like 3 books about David. He died. David died, and David's son, Adonijah, asserted himself as king. No, not David. No spoilers, please. Oh, we're reading now. The stream is about the book. We're reading the book, and then everybody was like, "Yeah, Adonijah, the king." But then word got to David. David wasn't dead yet, and David was like, "Oh, but Adonijah is not the king. For the king I name in place of me is Solomon. Solomon is to be king," and then he died, I think. He's dead, right? David died, and Solomon is king. And Adonijah got word of this, and he said, "Oh God, oh no. Praise be the king, Solomon." And then he greedily asked Solomon, "Solomon, please, may I have your concubine, your wife? May I have your favorite wife for myself?" And then Solomon was like, "Heck no." And so he killed his brother Adonijah, and then Adonijah is dead. Two women came to Solomon. Concubine is not a wife. I don't know what a concubine is. Two women came to Solomon while he was king. They came with a baby, and they were like, "This is my baby." And then the other woman was like, "No, this is my baby. Her baby's dead." And so King Solomon held the baby up by the leg and was like, "This baby, I will cut the baby in half, and you will each have half of the baby." And then one of the women was like, "Very well, if that is what it would be, we will each have half the baby." And then the other woman was like, No, don't cut the baby in half. I need the baby. The baby dies if you cut it in half." And then Solomon was like, "This is the real mother of the baby," and gave the baby. Then, as promised by the Lord, as foretold by the Lord, God, the baby, God predicted that his son, David's son, would build him a temple up in the mountains for the God, a resting place for the Lord. Up until this point, the Lord has not had a resting place. And then that was all of last session. A lot happened last section, actually, for building a temple. You remember the cherubims and the pillars and the things, cubits. When Solomon had finished building the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, and had achieved all that he had desired to do, the Lord appeared to him a second time, as he appeared to him at Gibeon. The Lord said to him, "I've heard the prayer and plea you have made before me. I have consecrated this temple which you have built by putting my name there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. As for you, if you walk before me faithfully, with integrity of heart and uprightness, as David your father did, and do all that I command and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne over Israel forever, as I promised David your father when I said, 'You shall never fail to have a successor on the throne of Israel.' But if you or your descendants turn away from me and do not observe the commands and decrees that I have given you, and go off to serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel from the land I have given them and reject this temple I have consecrated for my name. Israel will then become a byword and an object of ridicule among all the peoples." So I guess that kind of happened now, hasn't it? "This temple will become a heap of rubble. All who pass by will be appalled and will scoff and say, 'Ha! Why has the Lord done such a thing to this land and this temple?' People will answer, 'Because they have forsaken the Lord, their God, who brought their ancestors out of Egypt, and have embraced other gods, worshipping and serving them. That is why the Lord brought all this disaster on them.' At the end of 20 years, during which Solomon built these two buildings, the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, King Solomon gave 20 towns in Galilee to Hiram, king of Tyre, because Hiram had supplied him with all the cedar and juniper and gold he wanted for the temple. But when Hiram went from Tyre to see the towns that Solomon had given him, he was not pleased with them. 'What kind of towns are these you have given me, my brother?' he asked. And he called them the land of Kabul, a name they have to this day." Hi, Sikashak, good morning. Now Hiram had sent to the king 120 talents of gold. Here is the account of the forced labor King Solomon conscripted to build the forced labor. You mean people didn't want to build the Lord's temple? Conscripted to build the Lord's temple, his own palace, the terraces, the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazar, Megiddo, and Gezer. Brackets. Pharaoh's king of Egypt had attacked and captured Gezer. He had set it on fire. He killed its Canaanite inhabitants and then gave it as a wedding gift to his daughter, Solomon's wife. And Solomon rebuilt Gezer. He built up Lower Beth Haran, Baalath, and Tadmor in the desert within his land, as well as all his store cities and the towns for his chariots and for his horses, whatever he desired to build in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and throughout all the territory he ruled. There were still people left from the Ammonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. These people were not Israelites, brackets. Solomon conscripted the descendants of all these people remaining in the land, whom the Israelites could not exterminate, to serve as slave labor as it is to this day. They're still got slave labor in Israel to this day, do they? But Solomon did not make slaves of any of the Israelites. They were fighting men. his government officials, his officers, his captains, and his commanders of his chariots and charioteers. They were also the chief officials in charge of Solomon's projects, 550 officials supervising those who did not work. After Pharaoh's daughter had come up from the city of David to the palace Solomon had built for her, he constructed the terraces. 3 times a year, Solomon sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings on the altar he had built for the Lord, burning incense before the Lord along with them, and so fulfilled the temple obligations. King Solomon also built ships at Ezion-Geber, which is near Elath in Edom, on the shore of the Red Sea. And Hiram sent his men, sailors who knew the sea, to serve in the fleet with Solomon's men. They sailed to Ophir and brought back 420 talents of gold, which they delivered to King Solomon. When the Queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon and his relationship to the Lord, she came to test Solomon with hard questions, arriving at Jerusalem with a very great caravan, with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold, and precious stones. She came to Solomon and talked with him about all that she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told to me. In wisdom and wealth you have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's eternal love for Israel, he has made you king to maintain justice and righteousness." And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices and precious stones. Never again was so many spices brought in as those the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Brackets. Hiram's ships brought gold from Ophir, and from there brought great cargoes of almug wood and precious stones. The king used the almug wood to make supports for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. So much almug wood has never been imported or seen since this day. King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for, besides what he had given her out of his royal bounty. Then she left and returned with her retinue to her own country. The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents righteousness. Is that why 666 is the devil's number? Is that why they made it the devil's number? Not including the revenues from merchants and traders, and from all the Arabian kings and the governors of the territories. King Solomon made 200 large shields and hammered gold. 600 shekels of gold went into each shield. He also made 300 small shields of hammered gold, with 3 minas of minas? 3 minas of gold in each shield. The king put them in the palace of the forest of Lebanon. Then the king made a great throne covered in ivory and overlaid with fine gold. The throne had 6 steps, and its back had a rounded top. On both sides of the seat were armrests, with a lion standing beside each of them. 12 lions stood on the 6 steps, one at either end of each step. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdom. All King Solomon's goblets were gold, and all the household articles in the palace of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Nothing was made of silver, because silver was considered little value in Solomon's days. Oh, inflation. The king had a fleet of trading ships at sea along with the ships of Hiram. Once every 3 years it returned, carrying gold, silver and ivories, and apes and baboons. King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings on earth. The whole world sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom of the God had put in his heart. Year after year, everyone who came brought a gift. Articles of silver and gold, robes, weapons and spices, and horses and mules. Solomon accumulated chariots and horses. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horses, which he kept in the chariot cities, also with him in Jerusalem. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar as plentiful as sycamore fig trees in the foothills. Solomon's horses were imported from Egypt and from Kew. The royal merchants purchased them from Kew at the current price. They imported a chariot from Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and a horse for 150. They also exported them to all the kings of the Hittites and the Ambiance. King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter: Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, "You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods." Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. In the English, is the English Bible easy to understand? I remember the German Bible having ultra hard language, and even as a native, I was not able to understand some parts. I mean, yeah. I guess I'm not. Yeah. Although our interpretation of what yeah, it's pretty simple to understand, but the interpretation I heard, it's not what we're reading is like up to interpretation, because it's not always like it's not always it doesn't always explain everything, so it's up to interpretation. And there's my brother told me that they're still deciphering what parts of the Bible mean and what they actually mean when they say the things. What? He had what? He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. 700 wives. Oh man, the one thing he wasn't meant to do. intermarry. And what did he do? He intermarried with 700. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. He followed Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not follow the Lord completely, as David his father had done. On a hill east of Jerusalem, Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. He did the same for all his foreign wives, who burned incense and offered sacrifices to their gods. The Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. Although he had forbidden Solomon to follow other gods, Solomon did not keep the Lord's command. So the Lord said to Solomon, "Since this is your attitude, and you have not kept my covenant and decrees which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of your hand, the hand of your son, yet I will not tear the whole kingdom from him, but will give him one tribe for the sake of David my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen." That was nice. That was nice of God to do that. Then the Lord raised up against Solomon an adversary, Hadad, the Edomite, from the royal line of Edom. Earlier, when David was fighting with Edom, Joab, the commander of the army who had gone up to bury the dead, had struck down all the men in Edom. Joab and all the Israelites stayed there for 6 months until they had destroyed all the men in Edom. But Hadad, still only a boy, fled to Egypt with some Edomite officials who had served his father. They set out from Midian and went to Paran. Then, taking people from Paran with them, they went to Egypt, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who gave Hadad a house and land and provided him with food. Pharaoh was so pleased with Hadad that he gave him a sister of his own wife, Queen Tapenes. Queen Tapenes in marriage. The sister of Tapenes bore him a son named Genubath, whom Tapenes brought up in the royal palace. Genubath lived with Pharaoh's own children. While he was in Egypt, Hadad heard that David rested with his ancestors, and that Joab, the commander of the army, was also dead. Then Hadad said to Pharaoh, "Let me go, that I may return to my own country." "What have you lacked here, that you want to go back to your own country?" Pharaoh asked. "Nothing," Hadad replied, "but do let me go." And God raised up against Solomon another adversary, Rezon, son of Eliada, who had fled from his master, Hadadezer, king of Zobah. When David destroyed Zobah's army, Rezon gathered a band of men around him and became their leader. They went to Damascus, where they settled and took control. Rezon was Israel's adversary as long as Solomon lived, adding to the trouble caused by Hadad. So Rezon ruled in Aram and was hostile towards Israel. Also Jeroboam, son of Nebat, rebelled against the king. He was one of Solomon's officials, an Ephraimite from Zeradah, and his mother was a widow named Zeruah. Here is the account of how he rebelled against the king. Solomon had built the terraces and had filled in the gap in the wall to the city of David, his father. Now Jeroboam was a man of standing, and when Solomon saw how well the young man did his work, he put him in charge of the whole labor force of the tribes of Joseph. About the time Jeroboam was going out of Jerusalem...
Number 19, mouse and baked beans.
Hi, Sean, baby 666, good morning. About the time Jeroboam was going out of Jerusalem, and Ahijah, the prophet of Shiloh, met him on his way, wearing a new cloak. The two of them were alone in the country, and Ahijah took a hold of the new cloak he was wearing and tore it into 12 pieces. Then he said to Jeroboam, "Take 10 pieces for yourself, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. See, I am going to tear the kingdom out of Solomon's hand and give you 10 tribes. But for the sake of my servant David and the city of Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, he will have 1 tribe. I will do this because they have forsaken me and worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Molech, the god of the Ammonites, and have not walked in obedience to me, nor done what is right in my eyes, nor kept my decrees and laws as David, Solomon's father, did. But I will not take the whole kingdom out of Solomon's hand. I have made him ruler all the days of his life for the sake of David my servant, whom I chose and who obeyed my commands and decrees. I will take the kingdom from his son's hand and give you 10 tribes. I will give you 1 tribe to his son, so that David my servant may always have a lamp before me in Jerusalem, the city where I chose to put my name. However, as for you, I will take you, and you will rule over me." Wait. "However, as for you, I will take you, and you will rule all that your heart desires, and you will be king over Israel. If you do whatever I command you, and walk in obedience to me, and do what is right in my eyes, by obeying my decrees and commands, as David my servant did, I will be with you. I will build you a dynasty as enduring as the one I built for David, and I will give Israel to you. I will humble David's descendants because of this, but not forever." Solomon tried to kill Jeroboam, but Jeroboam fled to Egypt, to Shishak the king, and stayed there until Solomon's death. As for the other events of Solomon's reign, all he did and the wisdom he displayed, are they not written in the book of the Annals of Solomon? Question mark. Is that a question for me? Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. Then he rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son succeeded him as king. That's it. Solomon was supposed to be great, and he accidentally married 700 non-Israeli wives. That's a shame. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone there to make him king. Then Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard this, brackets, he was still in Egypt, where he had fled from King Solomon. He returned from Egypt. So they sent for Jeroboam, and he and the whole assembly of Israel went to Rehoboam and said to him, "Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but now lighten the harsh labor and the heavy yoke he put on us, and we will serve you." Rehoboam answered, "Go away for 3 days, and then come back to me." So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. "How would you advise me to answer these people?" he asked. Solomon would have had a lot of sons, a lot of children, no? With how many wives he had? 1,000 wives, but no children to show for it, 1 child. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. "How would you advise me to answer these people?" he asked. They replied, "If today you will be a servant to these people and serve them and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servants." But Rehoboam rejected the advice of the elders had gave him, and consulted the young men who had grown up with him and were serving him. He asked them, "What is your advice? How should we answer these people who say to me, 'Lighten the yoke your father put on us'?" The young men who had grown up with him replied, "These people have said to you, 'Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but make our yoke lighter.' Now tell them, 'My little finger is thicker than my father's waist.'" What? "My father laid on you a heavy yoke. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." 3 days later, what a terrible advice. 3 days later, Jeroboam and all the people returned to Rehoboam. And the king had said, "Come back to me in 3 days." The king answered the people harshly, rejecting the advice given him by the elders. He followed the advice of the young men and said, "My father made your yoke heavy. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." That can't be true. No person in their right mind would follow that advice. So the king did not listen to the people. But this turn of events was from the Lord. To fulfill the word, it sounds like he doesn't even know what he wants. Like he's just saying that because his friend said that. But guy's only been king for a day and he doesn't even know what to do. So the king did not listen to the people, for this turn of events was from the Lord. Oh, the Lord made him say that. Gotcha. To fulfill the word the Lord has spoken to him, to Jeroboam, son of Nebat, through Ahijah the Shilonite. When all Israel that the king refused to listen to them, they answered the king, "What share do we have in David? What part in Jesse's son? To your tents, Israel. Look after your own house. David." So the Israelites went home. But as for the Israelites who were living in the towns of Judah, Rehoboam still ruled over them. King Rehoboam sent out Adoniram, who was in charge of forced labor, but all Israel stoned him to death. King Rehoboam, however, managed to get into his chariot and escape to Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. That's a lot of stones. Yeah, all of Israel stoned him. That's wild. When all the Israelites heard that Jeroboam had returned, they sent and called him to the assembly and made him king over all Israel. Only the tribe of Judah remained loyal to the house of David. When Rehoboam arrived in Jerusalem, he mustered all Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 able young men, to go to war against Israel and to regain the kingdom for Rehoboam, son of Solomon. But this word of God came to Shemaiah, the man of God. "Say to Rehoboam, son of Solomon, king of Judah, to all Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people, this is what the Lord says. Do not go up to fight against your brothers, the Israelites. Go home, every one of you, for this is my doing." So they obeyed the word of the Lord and went home again, as the Lord had ordered. Then Jeroboam fortified Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim and lived there. From there he went out and built up Peniel. Jeroboam thought to himself, "The kingdom will now likely revert to the house of David. If these people go up to offer sacrifices at the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem, they will again give their allegiance to the Lord, to their Lord, Rehoboam, king of Judah. They will kill me and return to King Rehoboam. After seeking advice, the king made two golden calves. He said to the people, "It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." No, not the golden calves again. No. They must have not written the Bible by then. They must have not, because if they had written the Bible, had been writing the Bible and shared it with the people, they would have known. The last time they made golden calves, they all freaking died. Big stone company getting paid. Or is Jeroboam not Jewish? Is he not Israeli? No, I don't think he is. I think he's a foreigner. Once he set up in Bethel and the other in Dan. And this thing became a sin. The people came to worship the one at Bethel and went as far as Dan to worship the other. Jeroboam built shrines on high places and appointed priests from all sorts of people, even though they were not Levites. He instituted a festival on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the festival held in Judah, and offered sacrifices on the altar. This he did in Bethel, sacrificing to the calves he had made. And at Bethel he also installed priests at the high places he had made. On the 15th day of the 8th month, a month of his own choosing, he offered sacrifices on the altar he had built at Bethel. So he instituted the festival for the Israelites and went up to the altar to make offerings. By the word of the Lord, a man of God came from Judah to Bethel as Jeroboam was standing by the altar to make an offering. By the word of the Lord, he cried out against the altar, "Altar, altar! This is what the Lord says. A son named Josiah will be born to the house of David. On you he will sacrifice the priests of the high places who make offerings here, and human bones will be burned on you." That same day, the man of God gave a sign. "This is the sign the Lord has declared. The altar will be split apart and the ashes on it will be poured out." When King Jeroboam heard what the man of God cried out against the altar at Bethel, he stretched out his hand from the altar and said, "Seize him!" But the hand he had stretched out toward the man shriveled up, so that he could not pull it back. What? It shriveled up, so that he could not pull it back. Oh! That doesn't sound very good. Also, the altar was split apart, and its ashes poured out according to the sign given by the man of God, by the word of the Lord. Then the king said to the man of God, "Intercede with the Lord your God, and pray for me that my hand may be restored." So the man of God interceded with the Lord, and the king's hand was restored and became as it was before. The king said to the man of God, "Come home with me for a meal, and I will give you a gift." Don't fall for it, man of the Lord, don't do it. But the man of God answered the king, "Even if you were to give me half of your possessions, I will not go with you, nor would I eat bread or drink water here. For I was commanded by the word of the Lord, you must not eat bread or drink water or return by the way you came." So he took another road and did not return the way he came to Bethel. Now there was a certain old prophet living in Bethel, whose sons came and told him all that the man of God had done there that day. They also told their father what he had said to the king. Their father asked them, "Which way did he go?" And his sons showed him which road the man of God from Judah had taken. So he said to his sons, "Saddle the donkey for me." And when they saddled the donkey for him, he mounted it and rode after the man of God. He found him sitting under an oak tree and asked, "Are you the man of God who came to Judah?" "I am," he replied. So the prophet said to him, "Come home with me and eat." The man of God said, "I could not turn back and go with you, nor can I eat bread or drink water with you in his place. I have been told by the word of the Lord, you must not eat bread or drink water there, or return by the way you came." The old prophet answered, "I too am a prophet, as you are, and an angel said to me by the word of the Lord, bring him back with you to your house, so that he may eat bread and drink water." But he was lying to him. He was lying. He was using the God's name in vain. That's not okay. So the man of God returned with him, and ate and drank in the house. While they were sitting at the table, the word of the Lord came to the old prophet who had brought him back. He cried out to the man of God, who had come from Judah. "This is what the Lord says. You have defied the word of the Lord, and have not kept the command the Lord gave you. You came back and ate bread and drank water in the place where he told you not to eat or drink. Therefore your body will not be buried in the tomb of your ancestors." That's not nice. God should take pity on him for being tricked. It's not his fault. When the man of God had finished eating and drinking, the prophet who had brought him back saddled his donkey for him. As he went on his way, a lion met him on the road and killed him. Why did he even go back though? No, why did the prophet even come to find him? For what? Why did he even go to find him? As he went on his way, a lion met him on the road and killed him, and his body was left lying on the road, with both the donkey and the lion standing beside it. Some people who passed by saw the body lying there, with the lion standing beside the body, and they went and reported it to the city where the old prophet lived. When the prophet who had brought him back from his journey heard of it, he said, "It is the man of God who defied the word of the Lord. The Lord has given him over to the lion, which has mauled him and killed him, as the word of the Lord had warned him." This guy saying that, oh, he shouldn't have defied the word of the Lord. The guy that tricked him into defying the word of the Lord, oh, he shouldn't have done that. Brother, it's your fault. It's your fault. He should have known better. No. The prophet said to his sons, "Saddle the donkey for me," and they did so. Then he went out and found the body lying on the road, with the donkey and the lion standing beside it. The lion had neither eaten the body nor mauled the donkey. So the prophet picked up the body of the man of God, laid it on the donkey, and brought it back to his own city to mourn for him and bury him. If anything, the prophet should be the one dying for that. Then he laid the body in his own tomb, and they mourned over him and said, "Alas, my brother." After burying him, he said to his sons, "When I die, bury me in the grave where the man of God is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones." For the message he declared by the word of the Lord against the altar in Bethel, and against all the shrines in the high places in the towns of Samaria, will certainly come true. Even after this, Jeroboam did not change his evil ways, but once more appointed priests from the high places, from all sorts of people. Anyone who wanted to become a priest he consecrated for the high places. This was the sin of the house of Jeroboam that led to its downfall and to its destruction from the face of the earth. At that time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, became ill, and Jeroboam said to his wife, "Go, disguise yourself so that you won't be recognized as the wife of Jeroboam. Then go to Shiloh. Ahijah the prophet is there, the one who told me I would be king over these people. Take 10 loaves of bread with you, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what will happen to the boy." So Jeroboam's wife did what he said, and went to Ahijah's house in Shiloh. Now Ahijah could not see. His sight was gone because of his age. But the Lord had told Ahijah, "Jeroboam's wife is coming to ask you about her son, for he is ill, and you are to give her such and such an answer." Such and such an answer? When she arrives, she will pretend to be someone else. So when Ahijah heard the sound of her footsteps at the door, he said, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam." "Why this pretense? I have been sent to you with bad news. Go tell Jeroboam that this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I raised you up from among the people and appointed you ruler over my people, Israel. I tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you, but you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commands and followed me with all his heart, doing only what was right in my eyes. You have done more evil than all who lived before you. You have made yourself other gods, idols made of metal. You have aroused my anger and turned your back on me. Because of this, I am going to bring disaster on the house of Jeroboam. I will cut off every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will burn up the house of Jeroboam as one burns dung, until it is all gone. Dogs will eat all those belonging to Jeroboam who die in the city. All the birds will feed on those who die in the country. The Lord has spoken. As for you, go back home. When you set foot in your city, the boy will die. That sounds like an easy solution. Don't go back home. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He is the only one belonging to Jeroboam who will be buried, because he is the only one in the house of Jeroboam in whom the Lord, the God of Israel, has found anything good. So for that he will die. The Lord will raise up for himself a king over Israel, who will cut off the entire family of Jeroboam. Even now, this is the beginning to happen. And the Lord will strike Israel, so that it will be like a reed swaying in the water. He will uproot Israel from this good land that he gave to their ancestors, and scatter them beyond the Euphrates River, because they aroused the Lord's anger by making Asherah poles. And he will give Israel up because of all the sins of Jeroboam had committed, and has caused Israel to commit. Then Jeroboam's wife got up and left and went to Tirzah. As soon as she stepped over the threshold of the house, the boy died. The boy died as soon as she went home. They buried him, and all Israel mourned for him, as the Lord had said through his servant the prophet Ahijah. The other events of Jeroboam's reign, his wars, and how he ruled are written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Israel. He reigned for 20 years and then rested with his ancestors, and Nadab his son succeeded him as king. Rehoboam, son of Solomon, was king in Judah. He was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem. The city of the Lord had chosen, out of all the tribes of Israel in which to put his name. His mother's name was Nabah. She was an Ammonite. Judah did evil in the eyes of the Lord. By the sins they committed, they stirred up his jealous anger more than those who were before him had done. They also set up for themselves high places, sacred stones, and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every spreading tree. There were even male shrine prostitutes in the land. The people engaged in all the detestable practices of the nations the Lord has driven out before the Israelites. In the fifth, this is all kind of God's fault, is it not? God raised up a sinner to take over. God raised a sinner to take over. That's kind of his fault. No? There were even male In the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Jerusalem. He carried off the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. He took everything, including all the gold shields Solomon had made. So King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them and assigned these to the commanders of the guard on duty at the entrance to the royal palace. Whenever the king went to the Lord's temple, the guards bore the shields, and afterward they returned them to the guard room. As for the other events of Rehoboam's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Judah? I don't know, are they? Are they? There was continual warfare. Why is that a question? I don't know. I don't know. There was continual warfare between Rehoboam and Jeroboam, and Rehoboam rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite, and Abijah, his son, succeeded him as king. Bro, sounds like a publisher for this book of annals. How did you know how to spell that? How did you know how to spell Book of Annals? Because I've read the Bible? Have you? You actually spelt it wrong. So I don't know which Bible you read. The Bible with the wrong spelling of Annals? Yikes. In the 18th year of the reign of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, Abijah became king of Judah. And he reigned in Jerusalem 3 years. His mother's name was Maacah, daughter of Abishalom. He committed all the sins his father had done before him. His heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his forefather had been. Nevertheless, for David's sake, the Lord his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem by raising up a son to succeed him, and by making Jerusalem strong. For David had done what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and had not failed to keep any of the Lord's commands all the days of his life, except in the case of Uriah the Hittite. I don't remember that. What happened? Uriah the Hittite. Remind me, I want to know. What happened to Uriah the Hittite? Uriah was a soldier in King David's army. While Uriah was away at war, David slept with his wife. Right, I remember. I remember now. The one bad thing one bad thing, David slept with his wife. God didn't like that. I lost my spot. My book turned back. He was lying. Oh, I lost my spot. Sins committed stirred a jealous anger. A reed swaying in water. Stop. She stepped over the king, bronze shields, 8th. It's hot. Hot was David. Okay. Except for there was war between Abijah and Jeroboam throughout Abijah's lifetime. As for the other events of Abijah's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of Annals, the king of Judah? I don't know, are they? Third time they asked me this question. I don't know. There was war between Abijah and Jeroboam, and Abijah rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. And Asa, his son, succeeded him as king. In the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Asa became king of Judah. And he reigned in Jerusalem 41 years. His grandmother's name was Maacah of Abishalom. Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and his father David had done. He expelled the male shrine prostitutes from the land and got rid of all the idols his ancestors had made. He even deposed his grandmother Maacah for all her position as queen mother, because she had made a repulsive image for the worship of Asherah. Asa cut it down and burned it in the Kidron Valley. Although he did not remove the high places, Asa's heart was fully committed to the Lord all his life. Yeah, we'll see. He brought into the temple of the Lord the silver and gold, the articles that he and his father had dedicated. There was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel. Throughout their reigns, Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and fortified Ramah to prevent anyone from leaving or entering the territory of Asa, king of Judah. Asa then took all the silver and gold that was left in the treasuries of the Lord's temple and of his own palace. He entrusted it to his officials and sent them to Ben-Hadad, son of Tabrimon, the son of Hezion, the king of Aram, who was ruling in Damascus. "Let there be a treaty between me and you," he said, "as there was between my father and your father. See, I am sending you a gift of silver and gold. Now break your treaty with Baasha, king of Israel, so he will withdraw from me." Ben-Hadad agreed with King Asa and sent the commanders of his forces against the towns of Israel. He conquered Ijon, Dan, Abel-Beth, Maacah, and Kinnereth, in addition to Naphtali. When Baasha heard this, he stopped building Ramah and withdrew to Tirzah. Then King Asa issued an order to all Judah. No one was exempt, and they carried away from Ramah the stones and timber Baasha had been using there. With them, King Asa built up Geba in Benjamin, and also Mizpah. As for all the other events of Asa's reign, all his achievements, all that he... Don't say it. All he did and the cities he built, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Judah? I don't know. I don't know. What is the what is the book of Annals? Is that a book we're gonna read? Are we gonna read that? You can read today. It's a lost historical record of the mentioned in the Bible. It's like an official logbook, okay? Should we read that? I don't know if I want to read that. I'll have a look of it. I'll have a look at it later and see if I can be bothered. If it looks interesting. In his old age, however, his feet became diseased. Then Asa rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of his father David, and Jehoshaphat his son succeeded him as king. Nadab, son of Jeroboam, became king of Israel in the second year of Asa, king of Judah, and he reigned over Israel 2 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the ways of his father and committing the same sin his father had caused Israel to commit. Baasha, son of Ahijah, from the tribe of Issachar, plotted against him, and he struck him down at Gibbethon, a Philistine town, while Nadab and all Israel were besieging it. Baasha killed Nadab in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, and succeeded him as king. You think it'd be like the lineage books? But it's... maybe. I could say that. But it's meant to be like an account of all the things that... like all the great things they did as kings. The Philistine town. Yeah, it says Gibbethon, a Philistine town. Baasha killed Nadab in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, and succeeded him as king. Those were the bad guys? Yeah, I think so, yeah. As soon as he began to reign, he killed Jeroboam's whole family. He did not leave Jeroboam anyone that breathed, but destroyed them all, according to the word the Lord given him through his servant Ahijah, the Shilonite. This happened because the sins of Jeroboam had committed and had caused Israel to commit, and because he aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel. As for the other events of Nadab's reign and all he did, they are not written in the book of the Annals. Are they not written in the book of Annals of the king of Israel? I don't know, maybe. There was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, throughout their reigns. In the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, and Baasha, son of Ahijah, became king of all Israel in Tirzah, and he reigned 24 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the ways of Jeroboam and committing the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit. Then the word of the Lord came to Jehu, son of Hanani, concerning Baasha. I lifted you up from the dust and appointed you ruler over the people of Israel, but you followed the ways of Jeroboam and caused my people Israel to sin and arouse my anger by their sins. So I am about to wipe out Baasha and his house, and I will make your house like that of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Dogs will eat those belonging to Baasha who will die in the city, and birds will feed on those who die in the country. As for the other events of Baasha's reign, what he did and his achievements, are they not written in the book of Annals of the kings of Israel? Why won't they stop sinning? Do they not hear, like, oh, these 5 other people all did this, and them and their whole family died for it. God struck them down. What should I do? Oh, maybe I should create false gods and have all the Israel people worship them. Maybe it'll work this time. Baasha rested with the ancestors and was buried in Tirzah, and Elah his son succeeded him as king. Moreover, the word of the Lord came through the prophet Jehu, son of Hanani, to Baasha and his house, because of all the evil he had done in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger by the things he did, becoming like the house of Jeroboam, and also because he destroyed it. In the 26th year of Asa, king of Judah, Elah, son of Baasha, became king of Israel. And he reigned in Tirzah 2 years. It sounds like God keeps making Jeroboam's family tree king or whatever. The kings over Israel, and they keep sinning, so why does he keep doing it? It sounds like Asa should be king of Israel, not everybody else. Zimri, one of his officials, who had commanded who had command of half of his chariots, plotted against him. Elah was in Tirzah at the time, getting drunk in the home of Arza, the palace administrator at Tirzah. Zimri came in, struck him down, and killed him in the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah. Then he succeeded him as king. As soon as he began to reign and he was seated on the throne, he killed off Baasha's whole family. He did not spare a single male, whether relative or friend. So Zimri destroyed the whole family of Baasha in accordance to the word of the Lord had spoken against Baasha through the prophet Jehu. Because of all the sins Baasha and his son Elah had committed and had caused Israel to commit, so they aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, by their worthless idols. As for the other events of Elah's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of annals of the kings of Israel? I don't know. Maybe. In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah, Zimri reigned in Tirzah 7 days. The army was encamped near Gibbethon, a Philistine town. At this point, Asa should just pray to God. Just pray to God. God, please, all of the people of Israel are committing such sin because of the kings that keep taking over. Please just make me king, and I will follow your command as you see that I do. Just say that, and then he can be king. In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah, Zimri reigned in Tirzah 7 days. 7 days he lasted. The army was encamped near Gibbethon, a Philistine town. When the Israelites in the camp heard that Zimri had plotted against the king and murdered him, they proclaimed Omri, the commander of the army, king over Israel that very day, there in the camp. Then Omri and all the Israelites with him withdrew from Gibbethon and laid siege to Tirzah. When Zimri saw that the city was taken, he went into the citadel of the royal palace and set the palace on fire around him, so he died. Because of the sins he had committed, doing the evil in the eyes of the Lord, and following the ways of Jeroboam, and committing the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit. As for the other events of Zimri's reign, and the rebellion carried out, are they not written in the book of annals of the kings of Israel? What is this book of annals? I have to read this. It must be really good. They keep referencing it. Then the people of Israel were split into two factions. Half supported Tibni, son of Ginath, for king, and the other half supported Omri. But Omri's followers proved stronger than those of Tibni, son of Ginath. So Tibni died, and Omri became king. In the 31st year of Asa, king of Judah, Omri became king of Israel, and he reigned 12 years, 6 of them in Tirzah. He brought the hill of Samaria from Shema for 2 talents of silver. He bought the hill of Samaria for 2 talents of silver. Is that a lot? How much is a talent of silver today? That doesn't sound like a lot, especially because they made silver worthless. Blah, blah, blah. So they bought. Okay, never mind. According to ChatGPT, they bought it for 200,000 today dollars. The town. And built a city on the hill, calling it Samaria, after Shema, the name of the former owner of the hill. But Omri did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and sinned more than all those before him. He followed completely the ways of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, committing the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit. So they aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, by their worthless idols. They can't keep getting away with this. As the other events of Omri's reign, what he did and things he achieved, are they not written in the book of Annals of the kings of Israel? I don't know. Maybe. Well, it sounds like they still do things. I bet they might have done some good things, but they're just not written. We have to read the book of Annals to find out what they did. Omri rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria, and Ahab, his son, succeeded him as king. In the 38th year of Asa, king of Judah, Ahab, son of Omri, became king of Israel and reigned in Samaria over Israel 22 years. Ahab, son of Omri, what did he do? He did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any of those before him. He not only considered it trivial to commit the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, but he also married Jezebel, daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and began to serve Baal and worship him. He set up an altar for Baal in the temple of Baal that he built in Samaria. Ahab also made an Asherah pole and did more to arouse the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, than did all the kings of Israel before him. In Ahab's time, Hiel of Bethel rebuilt Jericho. He laid its foundations at the coast of his firstborn son Abiram, and he set up its gates at the coast of the younger son Sagub, in accordance with the word of the Lord spoken by Joshua, son of Nun. I don't know what I would do if my parents named me Sagub. Now Elijah the Tishbite from Tishbe in Gilead said to Ahab, "As the Lord, the God of Israel lives, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years, except at my word." Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, "Leave here, turn eastward, and hide in Kerith Ravine, east of the Jordan. You will drink from the brook, and I have directed the ravens to supply you." The ravens to supply you with food there? What, are the ravens gonna carry in, like, bread and stuff? Oh, that's cool. So he did what the Lord had told him. The people leave pies on the windowsill, and the birds just like steal it and take it to him. So he did what the Lord had told him. He went to the Kerith ravine east of the Jordan and stayed there. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. Sometime later, the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land. Then the word of the Lord came to him, "Go at once to Zarephath in the region of Sidon and stay there. I have directed a widow there to supply you with food." Raven brings you a delicious meal. Are you saying thank you or nah? Well, birds have disease. Birds are disease. You don't touch birds because they give you disease. And if a bird had touched my food, I probably couldn't eat it. So he went to Zarephath when he came. But if God came to me and he told me to eat the food that the ravens had given me, I'll do whatever he say. I'll do whatever God tells me to do. Cause I wouldn't want my whole bloodline to be killed and eaten by dogs and birds, and also other things. The word of the Lord is true. So he went to Zarephath, where he came to a town gate. A widow was there gathering sticks. He called to her and asked, "Would you bring me a little water in a jar so that I may have a drink?" As she was going to get it, he called, and bring me, please, a piece of bread." "Lord, there's a little bird poopy on my wafer. Do I have to eat it?" "Yes, my son. For it is the wafer of the Lord and the poop of the angels." "As surely as the Lord your God lives," she replied, "I don't have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little olive oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home to make a meal for myself and my son that we may eat." Okay, listen to this line. "I'm gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die." That's like some like cult stuff. That's like some ritualistic satanic. Yeah. We are making some bread so that we may eat it and die. Elijah said to her, "Don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said. But first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me. Then make something for yourself and your son." Or maybe she thinks advanced bacon tactic. I think maybe she thinks that the man is like going to kill her, and she asks for a final meal with her son or something. She went away for the... "Don't be afraid. Go home. Do as you have said. But first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me. Then make something for yourself and for your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land." You still doing this? Of course I'm still... You know how long the Bible is? Apparently I didn't know how long the Bible was, because yeah, I'm still doing this. You know, we're not even a quarter of the way, and we've had like 30 Bible streams. Did you guys know it's been 30 Bible streams? Almost 30? And we're not even a quarter of the way there. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it? There's a lot of books. There's a lot of Bible books. No shit. It has not already been half a year. It has. It has, apparently. Don't lie, you love it. You love Bible stream. You love it. She went away and did as Elijah had told her. So there was food every day for Elijah and for the woman and her family. For the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word the Lord spoken by Elijah. Sometime later, the son of the woman who owned the house became ill. He grew worse and worse, and finally stopped breathing. She said to Elijah, What do you have against me, man of God? Did you come to remind me of my sin and kill my son? Oh, she thought she was gonna die because she sinned. Wait, were you doing the Bible streams before you got decapitated for liking push-ups too much? I don't know. No. I think that happened first. It's a great defense, what? Give me your son, Elijah replied. He took him from her arms, carried him to the upper room where he was staying, and laid him on his bed. Then he cried out to the Lord, Lord my God, have you brought tragedy even on this widow I am staying with by causing her son to die? Then he stretched himself out on the boy 3 times and cried out to the Lord, Lord my God, let this boy return. This boy's... If you ever got banned, small Christian streamer discriminated against for innocent push-up emote. True, okay. Elijah picked up the child. The Lord heard, Lord my God, let this boy's life return to him. The Lord heard Elijah's cry, and the boy's life returned to him, and he lived. Elijah picked up the child and carried him down from the room into the house. He gave him to his mother and said, Look, your son is alive. Then the woman said to Elijah, Now I know that you are a man of God, and the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth. How do you know? How can you remember that far back? How do you even know Manuka B law that far? How do you even remember that? Do I hold a special place in your heart? Do I really? That you'd remember me and things like that? Who is Elijah? Elijah... Bob has an annal of the queens. Yes, please get out. You'll give me a stroke. What? Oh, of your of your head? No. Boy, as long as there's one person that remembers me, I will exist forever. I will live forever. I'm immortalized in the people's heads, and that's why, you know, that makes it all worth it. So no, I will not. The word is the truth. After a long time in the 3rd year, the word of the Lord came to Elijah. Go and present yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the land. So Elijah went to present himself to Ahab. Now the famine was severe in Samaria. And Ahab had summoned Obadiah, his palace administrator, brackets, his Obadiah. Obadiah was a devout believer in the Lord. While Jezebel was killing off the Lord's prophets, Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them in 2 caves, 50 in each, and had supplied them with food and water. Ahab said to Obadiah, "Go through the land to all the springs and valleys. Maybe we can find some grass to keep the horses and mules alive so that we will not have to kill any of our animals." So they divided the land they were to cover, Ahab going in one direction and Obadiah in another. As Obadiah was walking along, Elijah met him. Obadiah recognized him, bowed down to the ground, and said, "Is it really you, my lord Elijah?" "Yes," he replied. "Go tell your master, Elijah is here." "What have I done wrong?" asked Obadiah, "that you are handing your servant over to Ahab to put me to death?" "As surely as the Lord your God lives, there is not a nation nor kingdom where my master has not sent someone to look for you. And whenever a nation or kingdom claimed you were not there, he made them swear that they could not find you. But now you tell me to go to my master and say, 'Elijah is here'? I don't know where the Spirit of the Lord may carry you when I leave you. If I go and tell Ahab and he doesn't find you, he will kill me, yet I, your servant, have worshipped the Lord since my youth. Haven't you heard, my lord, what I did while Jezebel was killing the prophets of the Lord? I hid 100 of the Lord's prophets in 2 caves, 50 in each, and supplied them with food and water. And now you tell me to go to my master and say, 'Elijah is here, he will kill me.'" Elijah said, "As the Lord Almighty lives, whom I serve, I will surely present myself to Ahab today." So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. When he saw Elijah, he said to him, "Is that you, you troubler of Israel?" "I have not made trouble for Israel," Elijah replied, "but you and your father's family have. You have abandoned the Lord's command and followed the Baals. Now summon the people from all over Israel to meet me on Mount Carmel, and bring the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table." Big table. So Ahab sent word throughout all Israel and assembled the prophets on Mount Carmel. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, follow him." But the people said nothing. Then Elijah said to them, "I am the only one of the Lord's prophets left, but Baal has 450 prophets. Get 2 bulls for us. Let Baal's prophets choose one for themselves, and let them cut it into pieces and put it on the wood, but not set it to fire. I will prepare the other bull and put it on the wood, but not set fire to it. Then you call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of my Lord, call on the name of the Lord, the God who answers by fire. He is God. The God who answers by fire, he is God." Then all the people said, "What you say is good." See, this is what we need. This is more of what we need. When the people lose sight of the Lord, have the Lord do something miraculous to regain the faith. And we could use some of that right now in 2026. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, "Choose one of the bulls and prepare it first, since there are so many of you. Call on the name of your God, but do not light the fire." So they took the bull given them and prepared it. Then they called on the name of Baal from morning till noon. "Baal, answer us," they shouted. There was no response. No one answered. And they danced around the altar they made. What if Baal is not a god of fire? What if Baal does other things? And the the trial was set by it was kind of an unbiased. It was kind of a biased trial. No. What was Baal the god of? I wonder if they have Bibles. Does Baal have a Bible? Baal wasn't just one god, it was a title that came to refer to several closely related gods in the ancient Near East. Baal means Lord or Master. Who is Baal? A storm? Most commonly, Baal was a storm and rain god, a fertility god, crops and livestock, a warrior god. So that's none of the things. Setting a fire is not something that God was known for. That's not really fair. Now, if the Lord God sets fire to the camel, sets fire to the bull, and then Baal rained on it and watered and doused the fire, that would be great. That would be funny. That would be actually cinema. Ooh. Call the name of God, but do not. So they took the bull, given no one answered. They danced around the altar. At noon, Elijah began to taunt them. Shout louder, he said. Surely he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened. So they shouted louder and slashed themselves with swords and spears, as was their custom, until their blood flowed. Midday passed, and they that sounds like an awful god. I thought like all of the offerings was a bit much for normal god, but slashing yourself is seems like even a bit much. Midday passed, and they continued their frantic prophesizing until the time of the evening sacrifice. But there was no response. No one answered. No one paid attention. Then Elijah said to the people, "Come here to me." They came to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord, which had been torn down. Elijah took 12 stones, one for each of the tribes descending from Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, "Your name shall be Israel." With the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord and dug a trench around it, large enough to hold 2 seahs of seed. He arranged the wood, cut the bull into pieces, and laid it on the wood. Then he said to them, "Fill 4 large jars with water and pour it on the offering and on the wood." "Do it again," he said, and they did it again. "Do it a 3rd time," he ordered, and they did it a 3rd time. The water ran down the altar and even filled the trench at the time of sacrifice. The prophet Elijah stepped forward and prayed, "Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are the God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again." Then the fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil, and also licked up the water in the trench. When all the people saw this, they fell prostrate and cried, "The Lord, he is God! The Lord, he is God!" Then Elijah commanded them, "Seize the prophets of Baal. Don't let anyone get away." They seized them, and Elijah had them then brought down to Kishon Valley and slaughtered there. And Elijah said to Ahab, "Go, eat and drink, for there is the sound of heavy rain." Oh, it's Baal. He's sending down heavy rain. So Ahab went off to eat and drink, but Elijah climbed up to the top of Carmel, bent down in the ground, and put his face between his knees. "Go and look towards the sea," he told his servant. And he went up and looked. "There is nothing there," he said. 7 times Elijah said, "Go back." The 7th time the servant reported, "A cloud as small as the man's hand is rising from the sea." So Elijah said, "Go and tell Ahab, hitch up your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." Meanwhile, the sky grew black with clouds. The wind rose, a heavy rain started falling, and Ahab rode off to Jezreel. The power of the Lord came on Elijah, and tucking his cloak into his belt, he ran ahead of Ahab, and all the way to Jezreel. Now Ahab told Jezreel everything Elijah had done, and how he killed all the prophets with the sword. So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah to say, "May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of one of them." Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there. While he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, he came to a broom bush, sat under it, and prayed that he might die. I have had enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. All at once an angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat." He looked around, and there by his head was some bread baked, and hot coals, and a jar of water. He ate and drank, and then lay down again. The angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." So he got up and ate and drank. Strengthened by that food, he traveled 40 days and 40 nights, until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. There he went into a cave and spent the night. And then the word of the Lord came to him. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He replied, I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too. The Lord said, Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountain apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake. The Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, Hi, Sheikh Momer, good morning. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak off his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. Then a voice said to him, What are you doing here, Elijah? He replied, I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put the prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too. The Lord said to him, Go back the way you came, and go to the desert of Damascus. When you get there, anoint Hazael king over Aram. Also anoint Jehu son of Nimshi, king over Israel, and anoint Elisha son of Shaphat from Abel Meholah to succeed you as a prophet. Jehu will put to death anyone who escapes the sword of Hazael, and Elisha will put to death any who escape the sword of Jehu. Yet I reserve 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed down to Baal, and whose mouths have not kissed him. So Elijah went from there and found Elisha, son of Shaphat. They're going to do a genocide against all the people that prayed to Baal. So Elijah went from there and found Elisha, son of Shaphat. He was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen, and he himself was driving the 12th pair. Elijah went up to him and threw his cloak around him. Elisha then left his oxen and ran after Elijah. Let me kiss my father and mother goodbye, he said. Then I will come with you. Go back, Elijah replied. What have I done to you? So Elisha left him and went back. He took his yoke of oxen and slaughtered them. He burned the plowing equipment to cook the meat and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he set out and to follow Elijah and became his servant. Now Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, mustered his entire army, accompanied by 32 kings. With their horses and chariots, he went up and besieged Samaria and attacked it. He sent messages into the city, to Ahab, king of Israel, saying, This is what Ben-Hadad says. Your silver and gold are mine, and the best of your wives and children are mine. The king of Israel answered, Just as you say, my lord the king. I and all I have are yours. The messengers came again and said, This is what Ben-Hadad says. I sent to demand your silver and gold, your wives and your children. But about this time tomorrow I am going to send my officials to search your palace and the houses of your officials. They will seize everything you value and carry it away. The king of Israel summoned all the elders of the land and said to them, See how this man is looking for trouble. When he sent for my wives and children, my silver and gold, I did not refuse him. The elders and the people all answered, Don't listen to him or agree to his demands. So he replied to Ben-Hadad's messengers, Tell my lord the king, your servant will do all you demand for the first time. But this demand I cannot beat. They left and took the answer back to Ben-Hadad. Then Ben-Hadad sent another messenger to Ahab. May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if enough dust remains in Samaria to give each of my men a handful. The king of Israel answered him, Tell him, one who puts on his armor should not boast like one who takes it off. Ben-Hadad heard this message while he and the kings were drinking in their tents, and he ordered his men, Prepare to attack. So they prepared to attack the city. Meanwhile, a prophet came to Ahab, king of Israel, and announced, This is what the Lord says. Do you see that this vast army? I will give it into your hand today, and then you will know that I am Lord. But who is this? But who will do this? Asked Ahab. Wait, I thought Ahab was the bad guy. The prophet replied, This is what the Lord says. The junior officers under the provincial commanders will do it. And who will start the battle? He asked. The prophet answered, You will. So Ahab summoned 233 junior officers under the provincial commanders. Then he assembled the rest of the Israelites, 7,000 in all. They set out at noon, while Ben-Hadad had the 32 kings allied with him, near their tents getting drunk. Then the men took this as a good sign, and they were going quick to pick up his word. Yes, your brother Ben-Hadad, they said. Go and get him, the king said. When Ben-Hadad came out, Ahab and had him come up to his chariot. I will return the cities my father took from your father. Ben-Hadad offered, You may set up your own market areas in Damascus, as my father did in Samaria. Ahab said, On the basis of a treaty, I will set you free. So he made a treaty with him and let him go. By the word of the Lord, one of the company of the prophets said to the companion, Strike me with your weapon. But he refused. So the prophet said, Because you have not obeyed the Lord, as soon as you leave me, a lion will kill you. And after the man went away, a lion found him and killed him. The prophet found another man and said, Strike me down, please. So the man struck him and wounded him. Then the prophet went and stood by the road waiting for the king. He disguised himself with his headband down over his eyes. And the king passed by. The prophet called out to him, Your servant went into the thick of battle, and someone came to me with a captive and said, Guard this man. If he is missing, it will be your life for his life, or you must pay a talent of silver. While your servant was busy here and there, the man disappeared. That is your sentence, the king of Israel said. You have pronounced it yourself. Then the prophet quickly removed the headband from his eyes, and the king of Israel recognized him as one of the prophets. He said to the king, This is what the Lord says. You have set a man free I had determined should die. Therefore it is your life for his life, your people for his people. What? You can just do that? Yo, that's some crazy manipulation kind of tactics. You're allowed to trick people under the guise of the Lord? and get away with it, and then it's the fault of the person that believes it. That's crazy. With all of the prophets running around saying, this is what the Lord says, how does anybody believe anybody? Right? Sometime later, there was an incident involving a vineyard belonging to Naboth, the Jezreelite. The vineyard was in Jezreel, close to the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. Ahab said to Naboth, "Let me have your vineyard to use for a vegetable garden, since it is close to my palace. In exchange, I will give you a better vineyard, or if you prefer, I will pay you whatever it is worth." But Naboth replied, "The Lord forbid that I should give you the inheritance of my ancestors." So Ahab went home sullen and angry because Naboth, the Jezreelite, had said, "I will not give you the inheritance of my ancestors." He lay on his bed sulking and refused to eat. His wife Jezebel came to him and asked him, "Why are you so sullen? Why won't you eat?" He answered, "Because I said to Naboth the Jezreelite, 'Sell me your vineyard, or if you prefer, I will give you another vineyard in its place.' But he said, 'I will not give you my vineyard.'" Jezebel, his wife, said, "Is this how you act as king over Israel? Get up and eat. Cheer up. I'll get you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite." So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, placed a seal on them, and then sent the sent them to the elders and nobles who lived in Naboth's city with him. In those letters she wrote, "Proclaim a day of fasting and seat Naboth in a prominent place among the people. But seat 2 scoundrels opposite him, and have them bring charges that he has cursed both God and king. Then take him out and stone him to death." What? So the wife is tricking the people into killing him? Killing the king? Naboth. Who the hell is Naboth? Oh, they're gonna take Naboth out and kill him. Then 2 scoundrels came and sat opposite him and brought charges against Naboth before the people, saying, "Naboth has cursed both God and king." So they took him outside the city, and stoned him to death. They sent word to Jezebel, "Naboth has been stoned to death." As soon as Jezebel heard that Naboth had been stoned to death, she said to Ahab, "Get up and take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, and he refused to sell you. He is no longer alive, but dead." When Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, he got up and went down to take possession of the vineyard. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, "Go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, who rules in Samaria. He is now in Naboth's vineyard, where he has gone to take possession of it. Say to him, 'This is what the Lord says. Have you not murdered a man and seized his property?' Then say to him, 'This is what the Lord says. In the place where dogs licked up Naboth's blood, dogs will lick up your blood. Yes, yours.'" Ahab said to Elijah, "So you have found me, my enemy." "I have found you," he answered, "because you have sold yourself to do evil in the eyes of the Lord." He says, "I am going to bring disaster on you. I will wipe out your descendants and cut off from Ahab every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will make your house like that of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and that of Baasha, son of Ahijah, because you have aroused my anger and have caused Israel to sin." And also concerning Jezebel, the Lord says, "Dogs will devour Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. Dogs will eat those belonging to Ahab, who will die in the city, and birds will feed on those who die in the country." Brackets. There was never anyone like Ahab, who sold himself to do evil in the eyes of the Lord, urged on by Jezebel his wife. He betrayed in the vilest manner by going after idols, like the Ammonites the Lord drove out before Israel. When Ahab heard those words, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and fasted. He lay in sackcloth and went around meekly. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite. Have you noticed how Ahab has humbled himself before me? Because he has humbled himself, I will not bring this disaster in his day, but I will bring it on his house in the days of his son. For 3 years there was no war between Aram and Israel, but in the 3rd year, Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, went down to see the king of Israel. I thought Asa was king of Judah. What happened to Asa? The king of Israel had said to his officials, Don't you know that Ramoth Gilead belongs to us? And yet we are doing nothing to retake it from the king of Aram? So he asked Jehoshaphat, Will you go out with me to fight against Ramoth Gilead? Jehoshaphat replied to the king of Israel, I am as you are, my people as your people, my horses as your horses. But Jehoshaphat also said to the king of Israel, First seek the counsel of the Lord. So the king of Israel brought together the prophets, about 400 men, and asked them, Shall I go to war against Ramoth Gilead, or shall I refrain? Go, they answered, for the Lord will give it into the king's hand. But Jehoshaphat asked, There is no longer a prophet of the Lord here whom we can inquire of. The king of Israel answered Jehoshaphat, There is still one prophet through whom we can inquire of the Lord, but I hate him because he never prophesies anything good about me, but always bad. He is Micaiah, son of Imlah. The king should not say such a thing, Jehoshaphat replied. So the king of Israel called out to his officials and said, Bring Micaiah, son of Imlah, at once. Dressed in their royal robes, the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, were sitting in their thrones at the threshing floor by the entrance of the gate of Samaria, with all the prophets prophesying before them. Now Zedekiah, son of Kenana, had made iron horns that he declared, This is what the Lord says, With these you will gore the Arameans until they are destroyed. All the other prophets were prophesying in the same thing. Attack Ramah Gilead and be victorious, they said, for the Lord will give it into the king's hands. The messenger who had gone to summon Micaiah had said to him, Look, the other prophets without exception are predicting success for the king. Let the word agree with theirs and speak favorably. But Micaiah said, As surely as the Lord lives, I can tell him only what the Lord tells me. When he arrived, the king asked him, Micaiah, shall we go to war against Ramoth Gilead or not? Attack and be victorious. Attack and be victorious, he answered, for the Lord will give it into the king's hand. The king said to him, How many times must I make you swear to tell me nothing but the truth in the name of the Lord? Then Micaiah answered, I saw all Israel scattered on the hills like sheep without a shepherd. And the Lord said, These people have no master. Let each one go home in peace. The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Didn't I tell you that he never prophesies anything good about me, but only bad? Micaiah continued, Therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne with all the multitudes of heavens standing around him, on his right and on his left. And the Lord said, Who will entice Ahab into attacking Ramoth Gilead and going to his death there? One suggested this, and another that. Finally, a spirit came forward, stood before the Lord, and said, I will entice him. By what means? The Lord asked. I will go out and be a deceiving spirit in the mouths of all the prophets, he said. You will succeed in enticing him, said the Lord. Go and do it. So now the Lord has put on a deceiving spirit in the mouths of all these prophets of yours. The Lord has decreed disaster for you. Then Zedekiah, son of Kenana, went up and slapped Micaiah in the face. Which way did the spirit from the Lord go when he went from me to speak to you? He asked. Micaiah replied, You will find out on the day you go and hide in an inner room." The king of Israel then ordered, "Take Micaiah and send him back to Ammon, the ruler of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, 'This is what the king says. Put this fellow in prison and give him nothing but bread and water until I return safely.'" Micaiah declared, "If you ever return safely, the Lord has not spoken through me." Then he added, "Mark my words, all you people." So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, I don't really know what's happening anymore. King of Judah went up to Ramoth Gilead. The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "I will enter the battle in disguise, but you will wear your royal robes." So the king of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. Now the king of Aram had ordered his 32 chariot commanders, "Do not fight with anyone, small or great, except the king of Israel." When the chariot commanders saw Jehoshaphat, they thought, "Surely this is the king of Israel." So they turned to attack him. But when Jehoshaphat cried out, the chariot commanders saw that he was not the king of Israel and stopped pursuing him. But someone drew his bow at random and hit the king of Israel between the sections of his armor. The king told his chariot driver, "Wheel around and get me out of the fighting. I have been wounded." All the day long the battle raged, and the king was propped up in his chariot facing the Arameans. The blood from his wound ran on the floor of his chariot, and that evening he died. As the sun was setting, a cry spread through the army. "Every man to his town, every man to his land." So the king died and was brought to Samaria, and they buried him there. They washed the chariot at a pool in Samaria, where the prostitutes bathed, and the dogs licked up his blood, as the word of the Lord had declared. As for the other events of Ahab's reign, including all that he did, the palace he built and adorned with ivory, and the cities he fortified, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Israel? Ahab rested with his ancestors, and Ahaziah, his son, succeeded him as king. Jehoshaphat, son of Asa, became king of Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 25 years. His mother's name was Azubah, daughter of Shilhi. In everything he followed the ways of his father. Asa did not stray from them. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. The high places, however, were not removed, and the people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. Jehoshaphat was also at peace with the king of Israel. As for the other events of Jehoshaphat's reign, the things he achieved and his military exploits, are they not written in the books of the kings, the book of Annals of the kings of Judah? He rid the land of the rest of the male shrine prostitutes, who remained there even after the reign of his father Asa. There was then no king in Edom. A provincial governor ruled. Now Jehoshaphat built a fleet of trading ships to go to Ophir for gold, but they never set sail. They were wrecked at Ezion Geber. At that time, Ahaziah, son of Ahab, son of Jehoshaphat, said to Jehoshaphat, "Let my men sail with yours." But Jehoshaphat refused. Then Jehoshaphat rested with his ancestors, and buried with them in the city of David, his father, and Jehoram his son succeeded him as king. Ahaziah, son of Ahab, became king of Israel in Samaria in the 17th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and he reigned over Israel 2 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, because he followed the ways of his father and mother, and of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin. He served and worshipped Baal and aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel. just as his father had done. Wow. 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 Book is over. Book done. Book of the Kings 1 finished. Good job, everybody. Good job listening.